Most families assume that closing on a probate house in Texas works exactly like a regular sale. It does not, and if you're not prepared for the significant steps, you could find yourself facing weeks of delay. Here's that real timeline. My name is Nate Clark. I'm a probate real estate specialist here in Austin. Let me walk through the specific closing timeline that can apply to probate properties. Phase one is going to be going under contract. Once an offer is accepted and you're under contract, typically the buyer will have an inspection period of about 5 to 10 days to give them the right to do inspections on the property, negotiate based off of those findings, or cancel the contract. Phase number two is going to be title work, which starts on day one and runs concurrently with that inspection period. Title company begins its search immediately. For probate properties, the executor or administrator will supply those letters testamentary or letters of administration to the title company. One of the things that I do proactively for all of the probate sellers that I work with is we actually get those documents over to the title company before we even list the property, speeding up that process and allowing them to open title before we even have a buyer for the property. So the title company is going to examine the chain of ownership. They're going to take a look at the probate filings, the letters testamentary, make sure that the executor actually has the authority to sell the property. They'll also check for any liens, encumbrances, or judgments against the estate. This is where probate-specific delays can occur. There are title issues like an heir who wasn't properly noticed, a deed defect from a previous transaction, or a lien on the property. The title company is going to flag this and it needs to be resolved prior to closing. Phase three is going to be lender underwriting, which is typically going to be between days 5 and 25 for buyers that have financing. The buyer's lender is processing their loan. They're going to have an appraiser out to take a look at the property if an appraisal is required. If the appraisal comes in below purchase price, unless there was a waiver or a gap, we're going to need to negotiate, or the buyer's going to need to make up that difference with cash. Phase four is going to be closing preparation, which typically runs from days 25 to 30 or 35. The title company will prepare the closing disclosure and the settlement statement. For probate, the executor is going to need to bring a certified copy of their letters testamentary to closing. Depending on the estate's type of administration, certain additional documents may need to be prepared for closing. Phase 5 is going to be closing day. This is what everybody looks forward to. This is when the executor is going to go into the title company, meet with the realtor and the title company representative, and sign for the sale of the property. Phase 6 is going to be funding and recording. So for finance transactions, the lender is going to fund the transaction, which means they send the money to the title company. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually have buyers with financing have their lender pre-fund the transaction so that as soon as you sign, we confirm what funding and wires get sent out. This is also when the deed is recorded with the county. So the total realistic closing timeline from an accepted offer is going to be 14 to 21 days for a cash offer, and typically 21 to 30 days for a financed offer, provided title doesn't run into any hiccups when they're doing their title work on the actual property. This is why we try and be proactive, and even if the property isn't going to go to market for another month, we'll have title do all their work on the back end so that we can eliminate curveballs or headaches once we're under contract with a buyer. So the most common delays I see on probate transactions are going to be title issues that are discovered late, which is why we're going to be proactive, missing heirs' signatures, executor not having certified copies of the letters testamentary for closing, and a lender that's unfamiliar with probate. Preparation is everything. This is why working with a lender, a title company, and a realtor that are familiar with the whole process can save you a whole lot of headache and get you more money on your bottom line and protect your timeline. The families that close the fastest and the smoothest are going to be the ones that treat all the pre-closing preparation as importantly as the marketing and negotiation of the property itself. If you want to understand your specific situation and strategy for getting your property under contract and closing as efficiently as possible, my contact's info down below. Call me, text me. We'd love to hop on a quick call and discuss. While you're down there, you can download the free executor and heirs guide that will cover this and a whole lot of other topics relevant to your situation as an executor or an heir.